Hello and welcome to day 1 of the Christmas Craft Countdown for 2022, where I'm releasing a brand new free Cricut Christmas project every day for the next 20 days. Today's project is a mammoth one. Look at the size of this. It's a giant papercraft advent calendar and it measures a whopping 28.5 inches wide. But it all comes in sections. If I spin it round, then you can see. So it cuts on regular cardstock, either your US letter, A4 or 12 by 12 size, and you can cut it on a normal Cricut cutting mat. And then it all comes together, it's so big, to make this advent calendar sign that you can change every day leading up until Christmas. So how it works is, where's my little sleigh? You just pick the little sleigh out every day and then slot it into the next day and just push it down and it fills in that number with the colour so you get a perfect countdown to Christmas that you can use year after year. Let's find out how to make this and how to get the free cut file. But remember, it's only free for 24 hours. If you haven't already registered your free ticket for the Christmas Craft Countdown, go to craftwithsarah.com/CCC to do so. Once registered, check for an email from me with subject line Christmas Craft Countdown ticket information or any of the other emails from me that you've been sent throughout this countdown. Can't find them? Check your junk or spam box to see if they've gone there by mistake. These emails contain the link to view the countdown projects and download today's files. Scroll down the page to find today's project. Click the button to start the files automatically downloading to your computer or mobile device. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you have missed some, check out the Instant Access Bundle at craftwithsarah.com/CCC bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all of the files from the Christmas Craft Countdown. All downloads come in zip folders. You need to unzip them before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, open up Cricut Design Space and start a new project. Go into Upload over on the left and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the files on your computer or drag and drop them in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the folder and then the file to upload is the one which starts SVG in the file name. Click and drag it in, and it might take a while to load. You might see this message saying that it's a large image. It is. It's very big. But once it's all loaded and looks like this, go ahead and press Upload. Again, this might take a little while. Once it's in your recent uploads, click on it to get the green border, and then press Add to Canvas. Here's how it loads on the screen, and it should load in at the correct size, which is 28.5 inches wide and 12.25 inches tall. If yours does not meet those measurements, then type into these boxes and hit enter on your keyboard to change to match those size. If you want to, you can make it a little bit smaller if you want to make less of a giant sign. Just bear in mind that it might get a little bit harder to stick together if you make it too small. You can see down the right hand side all of the layers that are available, and there are a lot. This takes lots of card. I can't remember exactly how many bits it needed for me, but it was over 50 different sheets of A4. To see the colours you're going to need, click on Colour Sync, and then it will split them all out for you. To make it easier, you can click the little arrows to close them up, and that just gives you a better idea of the amount of colours that you're going to need. The one you'll need the most of is blue. There are 4 different shades of blue. There's the blue in the sky. There's 2 different colours that are used here, so sky colour and then 2 different in these trees. And then there's a very pale blue used for some of the snow and also the background of the numbers. If you don't have a super pale one, then a very light grey could work here, or maybe a silver or a cream or an ivory or something like that. If you want to simplify the colours, you can look inside the different colours here and then click and drag to move them. For example, maybe I could make some of those trees my tealy colour. You just click and drag and then let go and it changes the colour. And you can't actually see what that's doing, probably because it's off the screen. You saw that one move there. Let's scroll along. Those are the other ones I changed. So it's up to you, change whatever colours you want or leave it exactly as it was designed. I'm just going to undo those changes to put them back to how they were. Oh, I went one too far and deleted the whole thing. Let's just add that in again. All right, so I'm going to cut mine at the size it loads in at and with all the colours it comes in at too. So I'll click Make It over here and it will separate out all the colours. The layers have been created so that you can cut them all from either 12 by 12, A4 or US letter paper, and they should all fit on those. To change the paper size, use these drop downs, and I'm using A4, and then it will split it all out for you. You can move things about to take up less paper, so you can have a little play around and see if you can move things around so that you won't need so many sheets of card. You can see on this one, this is my white, and it thinks it needs 22 sheets just of white. But you can probably move a lot of this about and change it onto different mats. So, for example, let's say on these two, 18 and 19, I reckon I could probably move this one to there. White is your mostly used colour. You can see none of the others need quite so much. Perhaps that blue. And then, where is it? There. If I rotate that around, you see I can actually fit those on one sheet of A4. And now this one's empty, which means when you click continue, it will just get rid of the empty ones. So it's definitely worth playing about with these to get as many bits as you can on the same sheets, because you'll be able to take the amount of cardstock you need down by a lot. We just scroll all the way down. So you see at the moment it thinks it's 49 different pages. But of course, when you change some of this, for example, if I change this one to A4, it's going to need more because A4 is smaller than 12 by 12. So now that's just taking it up to 51. It is a lot of cardstock, but you can use this year after year after year, and it's a wonderful keepsake to make, either for yourself or as something that your children can use every single year. When you're happy with how all of your card is looking, go ahead and press continue to connect to your Cricut machine. Get all the layers cut out from cardstock, and then we'll see how to put it together, and be warned, this is going to take a while. Before I jump on to showing you how to stick it together, I just wanted to point out quickly that these 4 little snowdrifts in front of the houses were added after I stuck mine together when I figured out that I was going to need them to cover the fronts of the houses. So you won't see them in this video until the very end because they didn't actually exist at the time I was sticking everything together. So don't panic that you have some extra pieces that you can't see on my version. It will all become clear at the end. Right, are you ready? Are you really, really ready? Let's get started. Before we start all the top down, I just want to kind of point out a couple of things. When I made this on the video you're about to see, I messed up my positioning a little bit, so my tiny pieces against the doors didn't quite match up. And I didn't really like how that looks. You see, it's a bit messy. So what I've done in the file that you will get is add some extra little doorstop bits to stick on top so that if yours isn't quite lining up right either, like mine isn't, you can stick those extra bits on there to cover that up and then nobody will know. So you will end up with extra little white pieces that I don't have, and that's why it's to go over the little doors. But I'll remind you about that at the very, very end when we get to that bit, because you'll probably have forgotten about it by then, as this video is going to be a bit of a long one. Here are all of the layers cut out of my advent calendar, and I've laid them one on top of the other to check I'm happy with all of the colours and that I haven't missed anything. This is absolutely massive. Normally when I'm filming, I have to zoom right in to see what I'm doing, but on this, I've hardly zoomed in at all, and it still only just fits. I recommend lying everything like this because it lets you check you're happy with the colours before you start, and that you haven't missed anything. But now, because we need to start at the bottom and work our way upwards, we need to move these layers apart. I'm going to try and keep similar bits together. So all of these bits of the tree, for instance, I'm going to move away together. And I'm going to do that the same with all of the houses where possible, and also the numbers at the bottom. We're now left with the very bottom of the sign, which is these 6 white pieces. They have little gaps in them, so we've got arrows and also little rectangles, and that's going to help you line them up with each other. What I like to do is to get them into position on my work surface before I glue them together, and then just stick them down with a little bit of washi tape or masking tape to make sure they don't move about when I'm sticking the other pieces. Get your 6 layers from the bottom and put them all into place so that the little arrows and rectangles line up, and then stick them to your work surface with some washi tape or masking tape so that they don't move. It's quite tricky actually on this one to get all of the triangles and rectangles lined up, because you don't have an awful lot of reference points along the outside to also check that you're lined up, and you've also got such a big long edge along here that it's difficult to keep it straight. If you're putting it together and you find out that your arrows and your rectangles are not lining up properly, don't fret, just keep playing about with it, move bits about, tilt them ever so slightly, and you will get it lined up. This has taken me a little while to get to this stage, but now all of my shapes are perfectly overlaid on the top of each other, so I can start sticking it down. The glue I'm using for this project is called Kalal. I really like it because it doesn't bend or wrinkle the cardstock like other glues can do, and I've put it into these needle tip applicator bottles. I've actually run out, my bottle is empty, so all I've got left is this, and I'm really hoping it's going to be enough to finish this sign, but we shall see. Some of the layers will be stuck together with foam squares to give it some dimension. I'm using these ones from Dot and Dab, but any foam squares or rolls of foam tape or anything like that will work just fine. For this bottom layer, we'll be gluing the bits together, so carefully peel up one of your corners. I want to go for one that's got quite a bit on top. Let's go for this one. And then we're going to glue it to this side and the top of that one. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue down here. Make sure you don't go out any further than those arrows and rectangles, and a bit along there. So I'm not going down any deeper than that rectangle or out any further than that arrow. And I'm going to line this up again and stick down. And then just keep working your way around. I'll do this one next. And just keep adding my tape back to those bits. It takes a little bit longer with the washi tape, but honestly it's so worth it because it means you can get everything stuck without it moving. So this one, I'm going to stick it to the one on the left and the one along the top. Get my glue again. Down there. And along there. I'm also going to put a little bit in that corner because it will overlap there as well. And get those shapes, those cutouts, really well lined up. And check it still matches with the other ones on the other side that you haven't stuck. Next, I'll move on to the bottom bit here. This one I'm only going to glue to this one side as we haven't stuck that yet. And then finally, the top section. All these bits are now stacked together, and I'm going to wait for that glue to dry fully and then flip it over and add some sticky tape along the join lines for some extra stability. I've turned my sign upside down, and now I'm going to add some regular sticky tape along all of those join lines. It doesn't matter if you cover up the arrows and the rectangles because we're not going to see them when it's finished anyway. Now that's done, I'm going to flip it back round. Here we are. And then we've got the blue layer to stick on top. This is going to be glued and it's exactly the same size. So we can be sneaky and just do it one bit at a time. Or if you prefer, you can lay each bit out and line it up that way. So it's completely up to you. I think I'll do my, dropping bits everywhere. I think I'll do mine just one bit at a time and get it lining up with the white. This is going to use a lot of my precious glue. Oh dear. So let's put that exactly where the white goes, and then the triangles and, the arrows. There aren't arrows on these layers, but there's still the rectangles, so you can use them as a guide as well. But really, just as long as you get that edge, you're all good to go. For this piece along the top, you can line up the snowflakes too on either side. So that side and then this one should overlap those little snowflakes too. Okay, that is our base all done. And then there are a few triangles to start gluing on, I believe, or do they go on top of this one? Remember, when you stick this together, you'll have a nice assembly guide that has all of the directions for you, but I don't have that, so I'm kind of making this up as I go along. I don't remember all the layers. So what I'm going to do is just put these in place so that I can see if I'm supposed to be adding these little trees now or after this layer. Yeah, it's good to check these things. So this will be the next layer to go. And this, I'm going to use my foam squares to give it a bit of push out from the background, which means I first need to glue all of the pieces together. The easiest way to get the position is once again to line it up against what's already there and then washi tape everything into position. I've taped all these into place and you can see this arrow here isn't quite lining up where it should. If I just tilt that down and that one around, it gets a little bit better. So at this point, you're most interested in getting your edges lining up to what's already there. So I've got that, and then this bit, as long as those triangles, the lines of the mountains, are looking good, that's all I really worry about. So happy, I think, to stick this together. Probably move that one along just the slightest bit. And then it all lines up. There's a bit wiggly. I think of all the giant signs, even though this one has the simplest look to it, the fact that it's simple makes it more difficult to put together. So that's an interesting fact for you for the day. All right, I must have wiggled that about well when I was gluing it together, because now everything's looking like it pretty much lines up, which is awesome. And then I'm going to turn this upside down. And once again, add sticky tape along all these join lines. Now I can add all my foam squares on the back. And normally I would cut these in half so that they go further. But in this instance, just to speed things up again for the video, I'll keep them big so that I can place them a little bit quicker. As well as going around the outside with your foam squares like this, you also need to put a good amount in the middle. And that's because otherwise there won't be anything to stabilize the cardstock. And it's such a big piece that it'll be heavy, especially with all the other layers on top. So without any foam squares in the middle section, it would sort of bend downwards like this, like sort of an upside down dome. It would dome downwards. And it just wouldn't look as good. You'd have a dipped middle. And we want it to be nice and sturdy and flat. So I'm just adding these on as quickly as I can for the purpose of this video. There. So all my foam squares, half a packet already gone. And now I can peel the tops off to reveal all the stickiness underneath. Phew, that took a while. All right, let's get it that right way round again. And then line up one side. Gently let it drop down, keeping it lined up along that bottom straight bit so that hopefully your right side will line up too. If it's not quite right, you can pick it up and take it off again and try again, because we've not actually pushed it down yet. So it's still quite easy to peel off. I'll just show you. You can see I could take it off quite easily if I wanted to. But I think that actually looks pretty good. I'm going to push down to seal all of those lovely foam squares. The next thing I'm going to add is the moon over here, again with some foam. And this one, luckily, does not need anywhere as many pieces. Place that on there. Perfect. Next, we've got some details to glue on. We've got these little bits to go along the side, and also the tops of the mountains in that darker grey. That's the wrong one, that's that one. For these grey pieces, this is making the shadowing on the mountains, so these will be glued on. I'm also going to glue the white snow on top of the mountains, because whilst you could foam it, and if that's something you want to do, then absolutely go ahead and do that. But I think in order to keep the realistic depth perception of the mountains being far away, it would make more sense for them all to be on the same kind of dimension in the design. I've just done the glue on that the wrong way round, haven't I? Yes, I did. Oh, that wasn't very clever. All right, well, mine is not going to quite line up right. Oh, there we go. First mistake. Never mind. It was only a little one, and in the grand scheme of things, you probably won't even be able to tell. Last one. There. We've also got these blue bits to make up the trees in the distance, which again will be glued. And there's several different pieces here. So I'll start with that one, which perfectly covers those holes. Then this one will go on top. There's a little triangle here, which will be part of a different layer, so don't worry about that. These ones go over the mountain here. So you line it up so it will sit over there. So I'm only going to glue these bits, and that other bit will sit over the hole. So the hole's there to know where to put it. There we go. And then this one goes over the top to help bring that dimension back where the hole is. Perfect. I'm saying perfect a lot today. That's probably really annoying. Okay, one more bit for this layer, which is these mountains up here. Mountains? Nope, that was a lie. They are trees. Next, I think it's these white bits, but it might possibly be the blue trees on the side. I'm not 100%, I don't remember. I was correct. Here's the white bits next to make up that snowdrift. For this one, you can decide if you want to use your foam squares or if you want to glue them. I think I'm going to use foam because I want it to pop out from those mountains to look like the snow is really in front of it, which means, once again, I need to line everything up with my washi tape first. There are no little gaps on this one now because you've already got so much to line it up against that I don't think it's really necessary for the other bits. The most important thing to line up is that tree. This one. Well, I must have gone wrong somewhere because this piece does not line up at all. It's supposed to go all the way to that edge. Right, I'm going to make it go to the top. So if you're like me and you can't actually see what I'm doing, mine doesn't quite line up along that bottom, so I must have messed up a little bit on another layer. But that's okay. I'm going to stick that one there and then line this up along the top because that's the bit you'll see. So I'm more worried about it matching the top, this bit, rather than the bottom because there's loads more other layers to go on that bottom. And then the bit in the middle is just a rectangle. So that doesn't matter where that bit goes. I don't know how I've managed to get it not lined up. Oh well, it'll still be fine. At least that shows if yours isn't quite perfectly lining up, it's okay. Mine didn't either. Right, let's get my foam on here after the sticky tape for the stabilisation of the joints. Once again, I'm going to start on my left side. Get those lined up. Gently drop it down. Make sure that tree's perfectly lined up. And then push to seal when you're happy. Our next layers to go on is this one. This is the last big section of 5 different pieces. And again, this is one that you can either glue or use your foam pads on, but I'm going to use my glue because the houses will all be foamed. So I think it's already got enough dimension on it that it doesn't need any more. But again, that's completely up to you. I'll start with this one with the Christmas tree, just because this is the one I mind most that it's lined up correctly. And as we've discovered, Not all of my layers are lined up right. I must have just moved something. That one on there. Then I think I will do this one. Because I'm gluing this straight on, I can just put the glue all over the back. The next thing to do is to glue the trees on this side. I've already glued those two together, so let's just add some glue on the back. Right, house time. This is where it gets a bit tricky. I've started layering up the next section of white. Now we will be sticking the yellow layers behind the windows, but for now I'm just getting these in place. Before I can get this white one in, I need to get these trees glued down. I've used half my bottle of glue already. I hope I've got enough. There. And then one more here. This one technically is another collection to stick together, only this time it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. So when I said that last one was the last big one, that wasn't quite true. I'd forgotten about this. Right. I think where to start? I think I'll start this side and put this one on. So these will be foamed on. And we've also got to stick the lights in the middles. And that's not going to quite line up right because this whole side's not lining up right for me. So I'm just going to keep it lined up with that blue. And then stick the rest of these bits on so that they overlap. You need to be careful because not all of the bits overlap with each other. So just watch where you're putting things. Ooh, just nudged it, that wasn't smart. You could still be using your washi tape if you want. So this only overlaps here. Went up a bit too far there. Refer back to the assembly guide for a little bit more information on all of this. And that one goes on the top. Radio. It's close enough. Turn it over. And once again, add some sticky tape down those join lines. I'm going to move my main design out the way for a moment and work on the lights on the inside of the houses. That's all these yellow pieces. And this is still upside down. So you need to turn the lights upside down too, and then work out where they go along the houses. That's not quite lighting up, so I've obviously not done those houses very well. I'm going to cheat and cut that part into two, and then I can make them line up. I'm going off these larger than that designs, you know, they're getting very, very complicated. Put some glue around, but make sure you don't put any glue over the windows. And then get these stuck on. And my boiler's just fired up, so if you can hear a weird noise, that's why. And also, the rain outside is completely throwing it down. So there's that noise to contend with as well. I want to foam this to my rest of the side to give it that dimension so that the houses pop out from the rest of the background. So I'm wondering, there's still that window. I think I might have missed a bit of yellow. Here it is. There. That was a close call. I've put all my foam on and taken off the tops to get the sticky. Now I'm going to line it up. I hope everything lines up. I'm now going to build up the little houses one at a time. Move that, hopefully you can still see. And now it's easier because I've got a nice set of glue layers. Ooh, this side. A nice set of glue layers to go. These line up nicely along the shape so you can kind of see as you're building it which one goes where. For the door, turn this upside down and glue just a little bit around the edge of there. And then put the red piece over. Wiggle it about so your window's in the middle. Then that will go on there. And that one, it's up to you if you want to foam it for a bit of dimension, which is, I think, what I'm going to do on here. Thinking there's probably a little snowy bit off the chimney that I've lost somewhere on my work surface. I'm going to have to try and find it. I can see I've got this bit there. And I've got some snow for the top of the door. Sticking foam squares to my jumper. Also got a little porch. But I'm sure that's supposed to be white. Oh, I found it. Thought you'd get away from me. Okay. And I got my tree. Maybe this one should be foamed actually, even though I've just put the glue on it. Yeah, it should. I'm going to foam it. Let's hope foam sticks to glue. One house done. Move on to the middle. Double checking that they all still line up, which they do. And I can glue them one at a time. I'm confused now. I think I've messed up the order in which I've got the little pieces. So now I'm confused. I think this is right. So I need to put the glue on and then cover it with my blue door. Make sure that's lined up. glue this on. This will be so much easier for you with your assembly guide. And this one will be next, which is glue again. But for this house, I want that on there first. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't matter how much I stare at a design, go through all the layers again and again in Design Space so that I think I've got it in my head how to stick it together. And then it just somehow doesn't quite work out as I thought it would. This is one of those times. Everything is slightly kerfuddling me. That one. I will do the door on this one again, so turn it over. A little bit of glue around that rectangle. And then door in place. And then a bit of foam on there. In fact, before I stick that one down, I'm actually going to glue on the base layer of the tree because that's going a little bit under the house, and I want to glue the stalk of the tree, trunk of the tree on, and I'll foam the green bits. There's that one. It's getting so thick. And that one on top. And now I've just got all of the little snow pieces to glue on. I've just realised what I've been putting as steps was probably supposed to be snow under the windows. So instead of going on the doors, it was potentially meant to be there. But never mind. It still looks really pretty. And again, you'll have the assembly guide, so you won't make all these mistakes that I'm making. Normally, I mess up at the end of a countdown. It's very rare that the first project turns out to be one that I struggle with. So there you go, something brand new for this year. If you're new to Craft with Sarah craft countdowns and you're watching this like, what is she doing? Please don't worry. All the other projects will run smoother. I've already made them and I've already recorded them. I'm doing this one last because it was the most daunting. Glue the door to the back again. And I use foam on there. Oh, I have done that wrong on the door because now it's not going to line up with that look. Let's see if I can switch it quickly. Yeah. And now for the snow on the top of things. I've got 2 bits left and 2 square windows. So it probably is meant for the windows, but because I've not done it on any of the others, I'm just going to do what I've done on the other ones and stick one of them. Okay. My glue is so nearly all gone. Onto the tree. For the bottom layer, this one, I'm going to use my foam squares, but don't put any here because it needs to overlap that house. that one there. For the next layer, the darker green one goes on there. I think I will glue this one. Do I want to foam it? How? Now let's foam it. Let's go big or go home, as they say. Star, of course. Of course, the star gets some foam. Now I wish I could say that we were done. And it is looking really, really lovely and beautiful. But we are not done because we've still got to add all of the advent calendar pieces along the bottom. I realise now what I've done. I knew there were steps. I knew I remembered snowy steps. But I forgot they were attached to this layer. So yes, those should have been window snow, but never mind. Okay, these are the 3 pieces that's going to start the base for our calendar numbers. And note they overlap the edges a bit. So you want to line up the curve on here, and then this little bit will go over the edge. And that is to fit all of the numbers on. Mine is all higgledy-piggledy over the place because I've not lined anything up very well. So we'll see how it goes. But this is the left side is lined up pretty well, I think. I'm going to keep it lined up with the houses. Let's see how we go. Mine's still misaligned at this bottom, but I think I can get away with that in a moment with the numbers. I'm going to risk it being a bit misaligned. And we'll see how that works. Might cheat and put my foam directly on here. Remember, it overlaps on the edge, so line the curves up. Trying to get my bottom straight again. Okay, so that's making that edge straight. You can see now I don't have that overlap at the bottom. And don't worry too much that the step bits aren't lining up with the houses correctly. You won't really notice once you've got all these pieces on. Next are these ones. We got 3 of them. They're going to go along here. So actually, if you wanted to, you could keep this layer. I've stuck it down too much now, but you could keep this one more upwards. And then use this one to stabilize your bottom and get that all nice and straight. Feels strange saying stabilize your bottom. It's up to you if you foam or glue these pieces. I'm going to glue them. I think there's already enough dimension in here. If you don't have a straight bottom, then foaming them may work better. Let's do the middle one first, actually. Because you need the triangles on this to line up, otherwise your numbers aren't all going to fit. Next, we have the little pieces to go inside. I think that's the middle one. Need to line these up correctly, otherwise they won't line up with the numbers. So the edge pieces have the bit right to the side, I believe. Maybe not. Must be that one next. There we go. Oh, I've got it the wrong way round. See, that's why it wasn't making sense. These are glued again, and it's just giving us a bit of dimension so that we can slide the little sleigh in there each day. Make sure you put glue down all of these spiky bits, otherwise you won't have the little containers to keep the sleigh where it's supposed to go. Remember, there's no overlap on these pieces. They sit completely next to each other. Finally, we've got the numbers to go on top. Again, these are glued, but we're going to put the glue on the little spiky bits because we need the gap to be free for the slider to go in. These ones do have some overlap. You see that 9 is overlapped. Just add a bit of extra glue on there. And also the 17 has an overlap. Ta-da! Okay, whilst that glue is drying, we'll assemble the sleigh. Cannot see it. Here it is. I cannot pick up these teeny tiny pieces. This is really simple. You just need to glue the yellow bit onto the red. There. Then what you'll do each day is you can slide it in and it will highlight the number, the day it is, and then each day you can just move it along, and there we have it, our amazingly large advent calendar made from paper. What I think I'm going to do before you get this file is just add some extra pieces to be these steps so that if you've done like I have and not quite lined them up against the houses, you can stick an extra bit on top to sort of hide those mistakes, and then it will end up looking much neater. So you'll have extra bits to go over those little pieces. But there we go. Giant advent calendar done. I'm never ever making another one. Okay, so I'm just adding a last little update to this video, which is that I've created some little snowdrifts to sit over the fronts of the houses just to hide where I've slightly misaligned bits and pieces. So you don't have to use these snowdrift bits if you don't want to, but I'm using them just to hide the fact that I didn't quite line everything up properly. So rather than this messy bit here where I've got 2 of these little tabs showing, I'm just going to sit that over the top and no one will be any the wiser. So glue these on, or you could use foam. Depends how much you kind of want them to blend in. It's not going to stick perfectly flat because it's going over some bits at different heights. But this is going to help just tidy things up and cover up my little mistakes. I like things to look neat and tidy, which is how these snowdrifts came into existence. And it doesn't matter which one you put on which house. You could, base it based on which ones need a little bit covering more than others. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing here. And now those snowdrifts, I'll just let them dry. But if I hold this a bit closer, hopefully it'll pick up. They're now looking much, much neater along all of those bottoms of the houses. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make this enormous papercraft advent calendar with a Cricut machine. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafting tutorials. I hope to see you tomorrow for day 2 of the Christmas Craft Countdown. Thank you for watching. Bye!